Good morning, everyone. In the last session, we're trying to discuss about the one of the important example on this particular retrieving objects here. So let me reshare my screen. Okay, so what we are trying to discuss here, we are trying to discuss about the one of the important example called how we can retrieve an object with the help of this particular HQL query. Okay, so here we discuss about the Hibernate query and create query as well as create criteria we identified here. So if you see here, what we are doing is we are trying to discuss about the create query, and here we are trying to discuss about the create criteria. And at the same time, if I want to create the SQL query, so if I want to create the SQL query, so what is the important we need to understand here? And observe, I'm trying to comment out this. Here we'll try to create the criteria like a SQL query related sections here. Session dot create a SQL query here. Observe carefully. Here we are trying to create the SQL create SQL query method, and internally what I will do here, I'm going to write the normal SQL query. Okay, so select, and here I'm trying to provide u dot star so what is the table we are having here? So user one so select u dot, I'm trying to load all the properties, and after that select star from the user one, and what we can do here, we'll try to load all the information here. Okay, and here I will try to use this particular u. So user dot class. Okay, now you can see the create SQL query, whatever the method we are providing here. So it is the session is deprecated here, but anyway we can use this particular session create query one more time, trying to write here with the different values here. Now you can see here we are having so create SQL query and return alias as well as whatever the class we are trying to return this. Okay, otherwise now we can use this particular create a SQL query method. We have a three SQL query methods here. First one, normally it is expecting the single string parameter, and the second one is expecting two string parameter, one class type, and the third one is expecting first one as first parameter as a string query, and the second parameter is expecting alias names as a type of like array type here, and class types, how many class types we want to provide is expecting the class types here. Okay, something like second and third method parameters are expecting array type here, so that it's going to store multiple values, but we are discussing about the second method here, so that is expecting first and second parameter as a string parameter, and the third parameter is expecting as a the class type here. Okay, so finally what we can understand here, so it will try to return this particular query, and after this particular query directly we can call list method. So we can call this particular list method. It will try to return the return type of this. Here list of users. user1 dot get ID and user1 dot get username. And so one more sysout statement I'm trying to write here. I will print this so that each and every object is going to take internally. Let me run this example. Now you can see how many records we are having here. So 28 is the first one, 32 is the second one, and 46 as well as 49. Around 4 records we are having inside this particular user table. But here, what is the important section we need to understand here? How we can write the SQL query. Getting the point? So yesterday we discussed about the SQL query, and the same way we discussed about the criteria sections here, and the same way now we are discussing about the create SQL query. Getting the point? So we are trying to discuss about this particular create SQL query. Now it is expecting to this particular sections here, like selects to u dot star from the user one. Getting the point? So u dot star is nothing but I'm trying to load all the properties, all the columns, whatever the columns we are having inside this particular user table. Okay, the name of the table we given as a user one here. Now you can see these are all the queries where it's trying to generate here. These are all the join table. Whatever the address join table we have, it is trying to load this particular sections here. Okay, this is the way of loading this particular SQL query and loading all the objects here. Getting the point? This is one of the important the SQL query example we are discussing here. Now same thing we can applicable with help of the other conditions here. Where condition you can add, some other conditions you can add, and it will try to load all the sections here. Now another important sections here, I want to load only per page I want to load only 10 or 15 records here. Getting the point? So how we can load here? So this is important here. So if I want to load, now I'm trying to comment out this section because we will not use this particular SQL. We'll go for the Hibernate query language here. Now I will try to enable this. If we observe carefully, now what I'm doing here from user u, where the username dot this particular condition I'm providing, where condition. Okay, but now I will not provide the where condition here. So simply I want to load all the records here, but I want to load based on the pagination information. So pagination information is nothing but we want to load each page 5 records or 10 records, and the max records if we are having around more than 100 something. If I want to load per page as a 10 records, we can go for this particular pagination. It will try to load all the records here. So now you can see from user u, and here instead of this particular where condition, so otherwise comment out this. Otherwise comment out this section. Here we can enable. Now you can see from user u where the username. So here we are not going to use any where condition. Now you can see from user u, and I'm going to make as a order by. So u dot username, and how I'm going to make the order ascending order. Okay. So this is the way of loading this particular order here. So after this, now what we can identify here, we can write the set to first result here. Getting the pen. So how many results we want to load as a first result here? Now we can say I'm trying to load only 2 records. How many records we are having? The total max records here. Max results here. How many max results we are having? So here we are having around 4 records. So these are all the our match records here. Okay, so this is the way of loading this particular section. After this, what we can do, we can call list section. We can call this particular list section. This is important, we need to understand here. Now if you observe carefully, here what we are doing here, we are trying to create a one Hibernate query, and after this we are trying to set the first result as well as the max result. On top of this particular max result, I'm trying to call the list method. So this is, it will try to return the list of something like users here. Okay, so list of something like a user here, because we are trying to return the user object here. And after this, now what we can do, we can call this particular loop method. It will try to return the all the loop values here. Now you can see again I'm trying to run the same query here. So how many we are getting here? Only the first record we are getting as a 2. Getting the point? Here we are getting as a only 2. So each page we are going to get here 2 records here. This is important, we need to understand here. Getting the point? So because of this, now you can see 28 and 32 based on this particular ID, and internally we are having username here. Whatever the username we stored inside this particular user table, so those information we are getting. But what we can understand here, with the help of this particular set to first result, with the help of this particular set first result, we can make some restrictions here. Okay, only 2 records are going to print here. And if I want to so go for the one more time, it will, what it will do, it will try to print the remaining records here. But what is the max result we provided? 4. Only 4 records it is going to return. Totally, it will return only 4 records. Even though if you are having more than 100 records or something, it will return only 4. Okay, so this is the way of making the conditions on the each page. Okay, something like we'll call it as a pagination. This particular query, we'll call it as a pagination. On the each page, we are going to show only two records here. And the same information we can use with the help of this particular criteria. So how we can use the same example inside the criteria? To understand this, here session dot create criteria. What is the class we are going to use? Here we are going to use the user class, and after this particular user class, here we can add order here. So what is the order we are trying to use it? We are trying to use ascending here. So this is the class we are going to use here, order dot ascending, and what is the property here? So username. So this particular username, it is going to come with the ascending order. Okay, it is going to come with this particular ascending order. And after this, now what we can understand here, set first result. So first result I'm going to return as a 4, and same thing like set to max result. The max result also I'm going to provide as a 4, because we are having only 4 records here. And finally we can call the list information. So it will try to return the list of user sections here. Okay, now you can see. So this will try to return the use of list of this particular sections here. Now finally, same thing I'm going to copy here. List of users here, and here what we can identify, whatever the loop we repeated here, the same loop we are going to reuse here. But here what we need to understand here, so we need to understand about the one of the important example on the criteria here. So earlier example we discussed about the query, now we are trying to discuss about the criteria, but conditions are same here. Getting the point? So whatever the conditions we used here, the conditions are same here. Now you can see we are trying to load this particular user query, and now you can see internally it is calling limit and offset method here. So from user one table, this is ordered by the username here. Get it? So based on this particular, this basically it is the alias name here. Whatever this underscore we are able to see, this is the alias name of this particular table called user one, and they are trying to providing ascending order here. Get it? Ascending order, and we have a limit and offset here. So it is not matching here. Now what I will do here, I'm going to provide the first result as a 2 and max result as a 4. Now if you observe carefully, here we are able to get the two records. Earlier, the first result as well as the max result we provided with the same value. Because of that, we could not get the result. Okay, here the max, whatever the first result we are having, the first result should be less than to this particular max result here. Then only we are going to get the records here. So now you can see here, we are trying to load this particular records here. Two records we are loading. So this is the pagination information. So the section we discuss about this is from the query related section, and this is we are discussing about the criteria related sections here. Okay, these are the two important. Now if I want to use a create SQL query, what we can do, simply you can write the same query with help of the ascending order, and you can call the same two method, whatever we are having to this particular two method, first result as well as the max results. We can load the same the pagination result inside this particular select to SQL query here. Okay, so this is important. We need to understand here how this particular example it is going to work internally. Okay, the pagination section we are discussing here. Now we'll go back to the another important section here, how we can identify the unique result here. I want to get only, based on the condition, I want to get only unique information. I don't want to get list of records here. So using this particular query as well as the criteria, I want to load only unique information. So how we can load here? So observe carefully, I'm going to load one record here. So now you can see instead of this particular max result like first result as a 2, I'm going to load only one here. Okay, I'm going to load only one record here, and finally we cannot call this particular list here. Okay, we cannot call list here. So what is the important method we can call here? Something like a unique result here. So the unique result basically it will return single object here. So instead of returning multiple objects, it will try to return the single object. So this is important here. Now, what we can understand here, so I can use this particular user section instead of using this particular list of users here. Instead of using this particular list of users here. And we cannot go for this particular for loop. So it will try to reuse only single object here. Okay, so this is the way of writing the unique results. Now you can see whenever we are calling this particular unique result internally, it will return single object. Instead of returning the collection of objects here, it will try to return the single object. Okay, this is one of the important example we need to understand here. Okay, so let me run the same example how the unique result method it is going to return here. What happened here? So query did not return a unique result. Basically, it is trying to return the three objects. It is trying to return the three objects. So because of this, it could not identify which record we want to return here. But whenever we want to return the unique results here, so we should return one object here. We should return one object here. So now here, because of this particular three records here, we are getting an exception. Okay. So this is important here. But if I want to return this particular unique result, what we can do, we can go for the first example. Here, what we are doing is we are trying to creating this particular create query, and we have a one condition. Okay, we have a one condition called one-to-one association. So the condition we are providing is, and internally, how many records we are returning? List of records. So instead of calling this particular list, what we can do, we can go for the unique result here. Okay, we can go for this particular unique result here. This is one of the important example we need to understand here. Okay, so this is the way of calling the unique result method. It will try to return the single object here. Now, same thing it is applicable for this particular criteria as well. Whenever we are trying to load this section here, so we need to load the unique information. The unique information should match, then only the unique record will load. Otherwise, we'll get this particular exceptions here. Okay, so another important section, what we can understand here, another important section here, basically we already discussed about the binding parameter. So binding parameter is nothing but how we are using like operator. So let's see the like operator how we can use inside this particular query and criteria. Okay, so if I want to provide this particular section, what I'm trying to providing here we'll try to create the one query here. So let me comment out this section. So this is the section I'm trying to commenting, unique result test section. And here what we can identify here, this is important section we need to understand here. I'm trying to creating the query here. Okay, so this is the query string, and here we can go for the same here, something like from user class. Okay, from user class, getting the point. And here what we can do, okay, instead of user we can go for the item here. Okay, from item, and this is the alias name of this particular I basically it is a alias name here, and we can write the condition here. So what is the condition we can write? Where I dot, so we need to discuss about the column here inside this particular item class. What is the column we are having? This is the item we need to discuss here, something like description, or we can go for the name. We'll try to discuss about the description sections here. You can write here from item, where item dot description, where item dot description. Here we can go for the like operator. Getting the point. So this is the like operator we are using, and we can write the query here. So like whatever the condition description name it is going to satisfy, we can write here. And here inside this particular like operator, we can provide the search string here. What is the search string we are going to provide? Let me load the item table, what are the information we are having here. For this particular item, what is the table, what is the information we are having here? So only one record we are having here. So many to many item description. Only one record we are having. So this is the search string here. So this is the search string we are going to use for this particular descriptions here. Okay, description like here. Now what I'm trying to providing this particular message here. Observe carefully. This is important. We need to understand here. So this is the search string we are going to add, and finally what we will do, we'll try to write the query like session dot create query, and we are trying to use this particular query string here, and we can call list method. Otherwise what we can do, let me try with a unique result here. Unique results. Okay, so finally it will try to return the item is equals to, we need to bind this, like we need to typecast this because the unique result will return the object here. So now I'm trying to converting into the item class. So simply item dot, so get description, item dot get a name here. Okay, item dot get description and item dot get name here. So this is the important section we are using here, but internally we are getting an exceptions here. So unexpected column near line number 1, 45 column here. What happening internally? So syntax here, whatever the query we defining here, so it's getting as query related exceptions here. Why we are getting this error inserted object violation key in the user table? So anything we commented? Okay, so here we don't have a item section here. Here we need to identify the item class here. Now we'll identify what we are getting here. So from item, where item dot description like many to many association. But here the many to many association, it should come up with a single quotes here. Okay, single quotes it should come here. Now if you observe carefully, select star from item where I2 dot description. Description like, if I'm going to write here many to many, many to many. Now we'll see an error here. So now you can see it is showing some error here. Why it is showing a? It should be a single quotes here. Now you can see. So we are not loading any objects. So we don't have a record with this particular many to many here. But we have a record with the help of this particular section. If I'm going to provide this, you are getting a records here. Now you can see it is running and it is trying to return the one record. If anything is failed, so we'll get an exception. But here, now you can see here, we don't have a single quotes here. Getting the pen here, we don't have a single quote. So we need to add this particular single quote sections here. So this is important information we need to understand here. Getting the pen. Now, how we can add this particular single quote sections here? How we can add this particular single quote section? Here I'm going to add this particular single quotes here, and here what I will do, here I'm going to write the one more plus operator, and internally I'm going to use this particular single quotes here. So this is the way of the single quotes it's going to load internally. Internally the single quotes it's going to append like this here. If I'm going to run this, now you can see how this particular, so internally it is expecting different exception. Category Hibernate dot bed is expecting here. So mapping exception, association references, unmapped class. Now what we can do, here we can enable the bid related sections also. The bid related sections also we need to enable here. So this is important here. We need to understand how this particular query and criteria methods are going to use to retrieve the data from the database with various conditions here. Now you can see it is having, so one more table information here, something like a category section is expecting. So it is expecting category section here. Now I'm trying to enable this particular category also. Okay, I'm trying to enable this particular category also. Now you can see here we are having many to many item description we are having, and the name of the item here, many to many. Now if you go to this particular table, here same we are getting. Item name is many to many, item description is many to many, association link. Okay, this is the way of making the like operator. So this is the way of loading the like operator. Here I'm using the like operator, and basically this is the Hibernate query language. Even though if it is a Hibernate query language, we are able to use the SQL query like operator here. Okay, now I will comment out this section. Okay, now I will comment out this, and the same example, if I want to use the criteria, how we can use this section. Okay, so if I want to use the same section, how we can go for this particular criteria section here. Okay, this is important section we need to understand here, how it is going to use here. Now, session dot create a criteria, and we can write the item class. Okay, here we can define the item class here, and you can write the add the criterion condition we need to add here. So like expression we need to use from the Hibernate here, where this particular expression is coming here. So this is dot like operator. Okay, this is the dot like operator I'm using here. And what is the property name we need to use here? Something like a description. Okay, something like a description we need to use. And what is the value we need to use here? Same value, whatever we provided here, many to many item description. And many to many item description here. After this, I'm going to call unique result here. Okay, I'm trying to call this particular unique result. I'm trying to binding with item class, and internally will load this particular item section. Okay, so we are getting an exception. Now I'm going to run the example with the help of this particular criteria here. Now you can see same we are getting. So many to many item description and many to many. But what we can understand here, this is the criteria related example, and this is we discuss about the query related example. And here we define the Hibernate query, and we are trying to use the criteria. Criteria basically it will work on the objects here. So it will not work on the queries here. Whatever the query we defined here internally, it will try to work on the structure query language, and it will return the result here. Okay, so this is the way of writing the Hibernate query language as well as criteria related example. And another important sections here, how we can use the named parameter. So here we define the named parameter, the first example. Now if you see here, now what I'm doing is set to string here. So this is, we'll call it as a named parameter. Here we are trying to define the name of the condition parameter name here, because here what we are doing is where username is equals to username here. So here we are providing the condition parameter as well as the original value, the value it is going to fit into this particular the parameter. So this section will call it as a named parameter example, because we already discussed here, whenever we are trying to run the example, named parameter template class here, same thing what we did there. So there we are trying to define the name of the column names, and internally it is matched with the values here. Okay, internally it is matched with the values. So same thing here, we are trying to use the same example here. Okay, so this section will call it as a named parameters here. So this particular, so position parameters we need to discuss here, how this particular position parameter it is going to provide the information. So if we want to understand this particular position parameter is important here. Now to understand this particular position parameter, now again, so this section we are going to comment out here. This example we are going to comment out here. Now here I'm trying to write the first query I'm going to write here. So query string, and inside this particular query string here, now what I'm doing here, again from item. Item is a class here. It is not a table name. It is a name of the class name. Because when we are trying to discuss about the Hibernate query language, we are going to discuss about the class and properties here, not the table and columns here. Okay. So this is very important information we need to understand here. And after writing this particular from item, now what we can do here, the alias name I'm giving as I. So this is the name of the alias name. With the help of this particular alias name, we are going to check the conditions here. Okay, we are going to check this particular condition. Now you can see how we can provide this particular condition. So where we can write I dot. So what is the name here? Getting the pen. So what is this particular name we can provide here? So where name is equals to question mark and what we can write here? I dot description. Description is equals to question mark. So this is the question mark, the query we are writing here. Now whenever we are writing this, we need to come up with the positions here. So what is the position we can write here? Now you can see here I'm trying to write here session dot create query, because we are trying to discuss about the Hibernate query, and this is the query string I'm trying to defining it. After this, set what is the column, like what is the particular column type here. If it is a string or number or any data type like a date, any other data type here, we can write different values. So we are having string here. So because we are having this particular two properties as a string, so that I'm using as a set string, and the first one position I'm making as a 0, and value we can provide. So what is the value we can provide here? The condition parameters here. Okay, so here we can write this example here, something like many to many. Okay, so many to many we can write here, and after this, what we can write this? So set string and the position I'm making as a 1, and this particular value I'm going to replace with whatever we are having the particular descriptions here. So this is we are having with many to many descriptions here. Okay. Now what we can understand, this is important here. We are trying to create this particular query. We are trying to creating this particular query, and so this is the query string we are passing. After this, I'm trying to providing the position parameter. So the first condition is in the 0 position, and the second condition is in the first position. So the first one is the name, and the second one is the descriptions here. Okay, so this is the way of writing this particular condition. And after this, what we can do, we can write any condition. So you can go for the unique results, because we are having only one object. So if you are having multiple objects here, what we can do, we can come up with a list here. So with the help of this particular list here, we can write the values here. Okay, now you can see with the help of this particular unique result here. Here, what is the name we can use here? Something like item. So this is I'm going to copy here, and item is equals to item, and here I'm going to load this particular item description as well as the particular name of this particular item here. Now I'm running this particular example here. Okay, so now you can see what we can do. Here we need to understand this. The same example we define with the position parameters here, 0, and the position parameter is 1. And the same result we are getting here, many to many item description, and the name of this particular item name, many to many, because we are having only one record here. With help of this particular one record here, so this is the many to many here. Okay, so this is the many to many item description and the item name here. Getting the point? This is one of the important example we need to understand with help of this particular position parameters here. Okay, so as of now we are discussing lot of different two types of parameters here. So any questions so far whatever we discuss here? Like now you can see the create query, name of the ascending order. Same thing we discuss about the create criteria, and another string like operator we are using here. So same thing we define inside this particular expression, the same like operator here. Okay, and finally we are discussing about the position parameters. And in the yesterday example we discussed about the name mode parameters here. Okay, so anyone having any questions here? Okay, so if we don't have anything, now what we can do, we can go for so another important sections here, like how we can write the object here, because whenever we are trying to discuss about the like join table. For example, here we are having from item I is equals to, sorry, item I, and this is the alias name we are going to provide here. And here, with help of this particular item, if I want to load the bid related section, getting the point, because yesterday we defined so like a bid and category as well as item related sections here. Getting the point. So these are all the important section we need to identify here. Now observe one of the important example what we can identify here. So session dot, if I want to write the dependence object condition, so we can go for the query first here. So string here something like so something like query string here is equals to, now what I did here. So this is important information we need to understand here. Whatever this particular query string we are writing here, this is one of the query string here. So now from item I, and here now what is the condition I'm making, where item dot bids here. Okay, what is the dependent object here? Like we have category as well as bid section here. So this here I'm trying to discuss about the bid section here. Now this is the one of the important example we need to understand here. So from item I, where item dot bid. So something like we are now connecting with another object here. So something like a bid object we are trying to load. Based on this particular conditions, how we can load the important informations here. Getting the point. Here I want to provide the bids as a parameter here. Okay, bids as a parameter. So how we are going to provide this section here? So something like we can add the named parameter here. So using this particular named parameter, we can write the condition. So how I am going to write here? With help of this particular session dot, so create query, getting the point, session dot create query, and the query string we are going to provide. After this, we can write this particular set entity here. Okay, set entity. So this particular entity again it is coming with the positions as well as named parameters. Getting the point. Whatever the set entity we are having, it is coming with the positions as well as the entity information. So because of this, we can provide the name of the entity information. So here the what is the name we are providing is seller as well as here, sorry, bids. And another important section here, what we can identify here, something like the bid value. So instead of providing this particular bid value, we can create the bid object here. Okay, so this is the way of providing this particular object here. And finally, you can write whatever the condition we are going to write here. Getting the point. Whatever the condition we are going to write, we can write here. Now understand here where is the list of items here? So we did not discuss about this particular list of items here. Now here, list I'm going to write here, list of item and item list here. Okay, so finally, now what we can understand here, we need to use the loop exception. Just simply I'm going to write the condition. If the object not empty, we can return the some string value. If it is not empty, we can return this. Basically, this condition will not satisfy because we are here we are trying to providing new bid objects. So the new bid object is not going to it's not going to satisfy this particular condition here. So anyway, we'll simply print this particular section. Item list is not empty, and else section simply we can print here something like item list is empty. Okay, so this is the important section we need to understand here. Now if I'm going to run here, so this is the way of writing these particular entities, whatever the entity we are going to make joins here. Okay, so far we don't have any the sections here, but now you can see we are getting an exception. So why we are getting a could not resolve the property called bid here. Getting the point? So we don't have the proper information here because basically here we don't have the relations here. So now you can see here we are getting this particular exception here. But whenever we are trying to make the joins related example, this is important here. You can go for this particular entity, and using this particular entity, we can write the informations here. Okay, so what is the property we are having basically? So inside this particular item, we are having bid set here, but it is having expecting multiple records here. Is expecting multiple records here. Now observe carefully. If I'm going to run this example, what we can identify here, so this is the different exception we are going to get. Now object, whatever the object we are having, we are trying to converting into the transition instance here. So now you can see anyway we are trying to see the select query. It is trying to load the item related sections, but what we are getting here, so we are getting the flush related sections here. We'll discuss this particular flush related how we can use when we are trying to use the joins. Likewise, we are having multiple records here. Because of this particular section, we are getting an exception here. But anyway, we can go for this particular set entity to come up with multiple objects here. Okay, to come up with multiple objects conditions here. So these are all the different conditions we are having here. Now, so using this particular condition, we can communicate with our Hibernate with our database here. So far, whatever we discuss here, any questions? Okay, so if you don't have anything here, now another important sections here, what we can identify, named query. How we can write the named query? Named query, if I want to write here, we need to write the query inside the HBM file here. Getting the point? Whatever we are going to write here, the query it should be right inside the HBM file. So for example, here I'm trying to use the flash section we'll discuss later. Because of this particular flash mode only, we are getting an exception here. Now you can see, so something like we have some exception on this particular flashing. We have a different type of flashing here. We'll see how it is going to work here. This particular flashing, basically it will work based on the dependent objects. It's like a joins, one to one or many to many or one to many, whatever we use those are associations here. So using those particular association, when we are trying to load these particular objects here, we'll get an exceptions here. Okay, so this is one of the important example we need to understand here. Now, first we'll discuss about the named query. So named query, if I want to write here, what is the method we can write here? Something like get to named query. Now you can see we have a get named query, and here we need to provide the named query sections here. So where we are going to write this particular named query sections here. Now where we use the like operator. Okay, so anyway, we'll go to this particular item dot uh, where is that? Inside the Hibernate item.hbm.xml. So inside this particular item.hbm.xml here, we need to identify. So query, it is not available. Let me see outside of this particular class. So query, it is available, and now we can write the name of the query. So whatever the name of the query we are writing here, something like find by item, any point. So this is the name of the query uh, with description. Okay, so this is the name of the query here. Now what we can identify inside this particular query, we can write the whatever the HQL query we are going to write here. So here I'm going to write, so from, get in the pen. Here I'm trying to write this particular from item. So I is the alias name, and where I dot description. Okay, I dot description like so here I'm going to use this particular description. Okay, this is the named query we are going to call. So you can see here we are writing this particular the named query inside this particular HBM file. So this is, we'll call it as a find by item with a description here. Okay, find by item with the description, we are trying to write the name of the query, and this is the query it is going to execute, and it is a one name mode parameter we are having here. Now what we can do in that case, we will come back to here, whatever the get method name we are calling here, and here I will provide the name of the query name, and here set to string here. Okay, set to string, and what is the position we are using, something like a name or position description. And here what we can do, we can use this particular value. So what is the value we can use here, something like whatever we are using here, many to many item description. So after this, what we can do, we can call the unique result, because we are having only one object here. We are having one object here. And finally, what we can do, so item okay, item is equals to session dot get named query, and this is the name of the query we are having here, and set string we are having. Okay, set string here, and this is the whatever the name or parameter we are having here, the name of the parameter we are using here, and finally these are all the values here. Okay, so finally what we will do, we'll run this particular same object here. We'll run this particular same object here, whatever we are trying to use. So I am going to copy these two again here. Now you can see what happens internally. So error in named query. So here we are getting some errors inside this particular named query here. So why I'm getting what is the syntax we are missing? Here, what we can identify here, something like from item I, where item dot description like operator we are using, and this is the description here. And instead of this, so we can go for the instead of like we will try to use the equal operator. We'll see how this example it is going to work here. Here, name of the condition is not matching, or what happening internally. So it is modified the value. We'll see one more time here why it is not executing here. So we are getting some exception from the name mode query here. But now you can see, so we did not get any exceptions here. Finally, we're trying to load the objects. So it's because of we missed something, the syntax we did not follow properly. Because of we got an exception. But finally, we are calling the name mode query, and this is the name of the query name. And internally, we define the query and is expecting some condition. So what is the condition is expecting? Description, and this is the description we provided here. Okay. So what is the advantage we are going to get with help of this particular named query? So using this particular named query, basically we are going to reusable multiple times. So this is the item related all the example. It is going to reusable multiple times here. Okay. So same way we can write one more this particular named query to understand the SQL related sections here. To understand the SQL related sections. Okay. So these are all the named query related example here. So same method we are going to call here to understand the SQL related sections here. Getting the point? This is one of the important example we identify with help of this particular query as well as criteria. We identify the different example how it is going to identify internally. Okay, so only one of the important concepts are pending. First one is transaction. The transaction we are going to discuss inside the Spring related example here, and we can discuss about the flush related section here. If we observe, we have a different types of flush sections here. If I'm going to, like if I'm trying to provide this particular flush section, I will add all the information inside my website. Okay, the Hibernate related example, whatever we discussed so far, all the example I discussed inside this, you can go to this particular website for this particular Hibernate concepts here. Okay, so click on this particular Hibernate here. Now you can see all the Hibernate whatever we discuss here. So it's going to start from this, and each and every example we discuss here, everything is available only for Hibernate. So don't go to the remaining menus here. So far the remaining menus are not yet implemented. Okay, so only Hibernate sections are implemented. You can see this particular this image. It will give you the how we discuss about the example here. Okay, you can go to this particular source code. You will identify the example how in the how example are implemented inside this particular source code here. Okay, you can get the source code related here. Okay, so we have only the two topics are pending. The first one is something like transactions here, and another one is flush mode. Now you can click on this particular Hibernate fetching here. So this fetching internally it will give you the all the flush related sections. We have a different types of fetchings here. Now you can see immediate fetching. Okay, so lazy fetching and eager fetching as well as batch fetching. So these are all the different types of fetching here. So you can use this particular the fetching related example what wherever we are using the XML based applications here. Okay, so here these are the fetching. So you can try to implement this example, the fetching related example, but the transaction related we are going to discuss in a Spring related example. So here we are having Hibernate transactions here. This Hibernate transaction we are going to discuss here Spring related. Okay, whenever we are trying to discuss about the Spring with the transaction, this transaction we are going to cover. Most of the concepts are same, Spring and Hibernate. Because of that, I'm not discussing Hibernate transactions here. Okay, so this is the diagram. It will give you the how the transaction is going to work internally. Okay, simply whatever we are using the session dot begin transaction. So using this particular begin transactions only, each and every the concept it's going to work. If we get any exception, it is going to roll back here. So this is the rollback method we are calling. But the rollback method we are calling inside this particular catch block. Okay, and the commit section we are using inside the try block here. And we have a, again here we are having the same, the flash related example. Only the one pending is there here. So the fetching here. So if you understand this particular fetching here, so this is the simple example how we can save the data anchor. When the exception we get here, how we are going to roll back the data with help of this particular fetching concept here, we are trying to discuss here. Okay, this transaction we are going to discuss in the Spring related, but only one, the concept is pending. We can go for this particular, the Hibernate fetching. What are the different ways we can fetch the data here? Okay, so any questions here? So regarding our today's session, any questions here? So I will give you the link here. So you can access this particular link for the Hibernate here. Okay, so still I'm trying to work on the different menus here, like a core Java Spring related example. I will provide the information here, but till now you can access the Hibernate related information. So what we so far discussed here. Okay, if you don't have anything, so tomorrow we are going to discuss about the, again we'll come back to the Spring with Hibernate here. Once the Spring with Hibernate is completed, we'll go for the Spring plan section. Later we'll start the Spring MVC here. Okay, if we don't have anything, so I'm going to stop the session up to here. We'll continue tomorrow. So meanwhile, try to practice all the hibernated example, whatever we discussed so far here.